Because you've already had the mini altercation
Yeah.
at dinner. So the bouncer stopped you and was like, hey, you can't leave with these drinks.
And then she starts arguing with him. Right? Like, and I'm like, and the funny thing is, like, we were in there and she was talking about how, like, she worked in the service industry. And I was like, she's being one of these people. I was like, this dude's just doing his job. And I even looked at him too. Like, it was funny. We kind of shared a look. Like, I was just like, hey, bro.
Like being a Karen at that point, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I'm like, what are you doing?
And so at this point, are you still into her?
I'm sort of like, kind of like, but I'm like, whatever.
Do guys ghost girls off of Hinge and Tinder the same way that girls ghost guys? Or is it just a one-way street?
I think it all depends on the person, right? So
there are some guys who are...
Yeah, I mean,
have the opportunity to ghost.
Yeah, to me, it's an immature kind of thing though, like because it's
just ghosting in general is immature.
Yeah, dude, like because I've had the adult way to go about it is if it didn't go well, just shoot a text, hey, it was good meeting you, whatever.
I didn't like you very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like it, but in a nice way, right? Whatever.
Yeah. Okay, but why don't people feel like they can be open enough to just say like, hey, great date. I don't want to do that again.
Well, because there's certain type of people they feel they're afraid of confrontation, or something like that. Because I mean I guess you are opening the door to that, but at that point you can just block the person.
You could. It is because blocking is so easy now.
Yeah.
Inside of these apps, or you can just block them on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
That's the path of least resistance versus having to have even like a mediocrely difficult conversation.
But
hey.
I guess to me though, it's a what do you call it? Like a sociopath kind of way of doing it. And you don't care about how the other person feels or whatever. And if you don't, I mean, that's fine, whatever. And getting ghosted or whatever, that's just the reality of the dating world today or whatever.
Yeah.
But because it used to really bug me, but now I don't really give a fuck or whatever. And
well, you're used to it. You're institutionalized.
Not that I'm getting ghosted left and right or anything, but
sure, and I
you
don't
just
want to
gotta
paint that
understand it's
picture.
gonna happen. You know what I mean?
So, like, full context.
Mm-hmm.
For those that missed our first dating episode that we did, I've been married now for 10 years. So I got in a relationship long before these apps ever came out. I don't know this world whatsoever at all. I don't know what it's like to be swiping left and right on people, to get ghosted on the back end, to have all the options that are out there. But you've been in that world, long-term relationship, back in that world, short-term relationship, back in that world again. So you've experienced this. Yeah. And I think that there's something to do with like the psychology of like, okay, so things didn't work out. I have a lot of options. There's 15 more people on my list that I want to go on a date with.
Yeah.
Am I obligated to tell someone that I'm never going to speak to them ever again?
No, you're not obligated to do anything, right? And I guess my point of view though, it's just the polite thing to do. You know what I mean? Because like if it happens to you, you're going to be upset. Whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and that is kind of, I guess how I kind of developed it. It's like I didn't appreciate it, right? So so I don't do that. You know what I mean?
You don't do it. What about the fact that you're a millennial? Is there a generational gap in what's socially acceptable?
There could be
to break up with somebody on the apps.
Yeah, like Gen Z and stuff. They're going away from the apps, which is great news, I guess. But them kind of just this has always been a thing, right? You know what I mean? So I mean, it might be a little bit more, but I'm not really. Yeah. So,
okay. But you do think it's something about. You feel like it is morally right for you.
Yeah.
If you don't want to see somebody again, to just let them know.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Just.
But here's the deal, dude. Because like I had a date recently, right? This person though, because it was sort of an in-person ghosting on my part. Because basically, it was our second date, right? The first date was was okay, whatever. It was good enough for us to have a second date, right?
Okay.
But basically it started off rocky. She immediately got into like politics stuff or whatever. And, we were like in the restaurant.
This is on the first date. She got into politics. Date. Okay. So she felt like we're ready to like pull the curtains back on
Yeah,
this thing
I
on
can't
date
remember
number two.
what was brought up, but it was. Have you heard that whole thing about the 62 million dudes that were that visited a rape academy or something like that?
No, this is
Okay,
news to
well,
me.
so that was like a big thing last week, right? And it was just everyone's throwing and honestly, it's like it's kind of shocking, like holy shit, whatever, because that's like half the dudes in America, right?
So 62 million people attended a rape academy.
Yeah, online,
That's the
right?
claim.
But then basically, if you dug deep into it, it was a really like niche, like nasty kind of porn site, right?
Okay.
And basically within that porn site, they had like a niche, which was sort of like I guess a rape fantasy kind of thing. Right. And then within that group, there was a Telegram that was connected to that that had like 1,000 members, and they were actually trading like tips and stuff or whatever, and that's like terrible, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But the way it was put was that it was 62 million, but the 62 million was how many visits the site, this nasty porn site had, right? Which is still kind of niche for a porn site, right? But basically 62 million, and that's the number they were going with, right? And
I just want to know, like, what was happening on the date that this porn site got brought up?
Exactly. I can't, like, she was just kind of bringing up how, like,
was she like, have you heard about the 62 million?
Yeah, it was something like that. And then
there?
I was like, well, actually, and really, and then she immediately was like, oh, so you're gonna mansplain to me, blah blah, and I was like, I'm not mansplaining, I'm just literally saying, and I'm not trying to say it's not a bad thing, because that's the thing too. It's like, oh, so you're trying to downplay this, and it's like, no, it's 62 million versus 1,000, right? It's a big difference, because I was like, right here in this restaurant, then that would mean like probably like half the dudes in here, you know what I mean? So but we basically just, I was like, we just dropped it. I just kind of agreed with her. I was like, no, like,
okay, we just want to play this out because I want to dig into this moment. So you're on a date, second date, and somehow she brings up these people, and you offer a slight correction.
Yeah,
it's a few bad hombres out there. Okay, good people on both sides. Everybody's saying it, right? But she saw you as Trump, right? Immediately once you like,
it's the cognitive dissonance or whatever they call it, like just kicked in with her. And so, but it was like we got through that, and then the rest of the time was okay, paid the bill, whatever. Then we went to another place, then we kind of hung out. We had a couple more drinks or whatever, because we were just kind of walking around Fremont, right?
Yeah. And what's going through your mind after that happened? As you go to the next place, you're drinking. Have you put that completely in the past behind you?
No, in the back of my head, I'm sort of just like, you know, not that, and again, but basically how she reacted to me, sort of like, not her opinion, right? But the way she reacted to me having some kind of input into that.
Yes. Okay, but the date continues.
Yeah. So
what do you think was going on inside the head of this woman you're on a date with after you've already had this like mini altercation, semi-political,
Well, she made it very clear to me, because that was another thing too, that it was another kind of red flag kind of thing, because we just started talking about we got into like attachment styles, stuff like that, and then what do you call it? Then she made this comment. She's like, well, you guys are all the same. And, you guys are very simple to read and blah, blah, blah. And I remember that kind of I was like, what?
Was she saying it as like not really against you, but just kind of
in
like,
general,
oh, you guys are all the same.
Yeah. And I was sort of just like, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. So whatever she was thinking, it was, I don't know, like, okay, this guy's a typical guy or whatever.
Yeah.
But, and it's weird right now with the internet. It's like, there's like this men versus woman thing they're trying to push, and I don't like it. But yeah, so we continue the date, right? And then this is where it kind of escalates, right? So basically we're at this bar. It's like super loud, dude. And I'm not really feeling it. And she's kind of my age too, but she's like loving it, whatever. And I'm like, whatever, okay, this is cool. Or
you don't
whatever.
like the vibe of the place, the music is not your style.
No, not at all. And then
but you're still into her at this point.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm cool with it. And then because I wanted to go to this park that was like across the street, and she sort of kind of made fun of it. She's like, oh, it's like for little kids or whatever. And then she brought it up, she's like, do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, we can go over there. It's the what is it called? That the container park, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I haven't seen that, but I've heard of it in Vegas.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, sure. If you want to go, we can just walk around there or whatever. And then but we still had drinks, right? And then then she starts getting up, and I was like, are we gonna finish our drinks or whatever? And then she's like, oh wait, she's like, Ray, oh, you're new to Vegas, you don't know. And I was like, oh, we can drink on the street like that? And then so I'm like, okay, whatever. So then we're walking down with the drinks, right? And then we immediately get stopped by one person, right? And he's literally saying, he's like, I don't know if you guys, and then she's just like, just keep going, whatever. And then we go outside, right? And then the bouncer or whatever, I hear him, he's like, excuse me, because she's ahead of me. He's like, excuse me, man, blah, blah. And then I'm like, oh, like, okay, so we can't fucking just walk out with these drinks or whatever. Yeah. And then, so I'm like,
these like in like the glasses that belong to
I had a beer can. I think she had like a cocktail or something like that. Okay. Or
because you are allowed in Vegas to just have alcohol anywhere.
Yeah. Well, I had a beer can and yeah. So, and then basically, so I was like, whatever, let's just drink them right here. Cause it was sort of like a balcony area.
So the bouncer stopped you and was like, hey, you can't leave with these drinks.
And then, so I chugged my beer and then she starts arguing with him. Okay. Right? Yeah. And I'm like, and the funny thing is, like, we were in there, she was talking about how, like, she worked in the service industry and she, like, customers, like, that are, because that was one of our conversations, right? And I was like, she's being one of these people. I was like, this dude's just doing his job. And he's like, explaining to her, she's like, I just don't understand, blah, blah. And he's like, well, you know, if you leave, we could lose our liquor license, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, done. And then she just kept pushing it, whatever. And I was like, dude, let's just drink the drinks. So then we ended up doing that, whatever. We just drank our drinks and then we left. But I was like, what the fuck? And I even looked at him too. Like, yeah, it was like, funny. We kind of shared a look. Like, I was just like, hey, bro.
Okay, I want to know what went through your mind about her. Because you've already had the mini altercation at dinner. Now you're getting drinks and she's going off on the bounce. Like, I'm so sorry, I don't understand. Like, why can't we do? Like, that's pretty much just kind of like being a Karen at that point, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I'm like, what are you doing?
And so at this point, are you still into her?
I'm sort of like, kind of like, you know, and then but I'm like, whatever. Let's
like, this is just strike two.
Because again, here's the deal. I was kind of giving her some grace there because I was like, we are a little fucking tipsy right now. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, sure. Yeah.
So then basically we walk across the street, we go to that little park, right? And then
somebody being tipsy though, I just think this is an important point to hone in on. Mm-hmm. Somebody loosens up, they have a few drinks. It tells you a lot about who that person really is. They start to show their real colors. They're in a more relaxed environment.
Yeah. Because
I'm more worried about somebody going off on a bouncer and yapping at them when they're sober than I would be when they're drunk. Like, oh, this is who you really are, right?
Yeah, because like I'm not really into that, like giving people a hard time if they're just doing their job or whatever, you know, and just the fact that, because again we had talked about that upstairs for whatever reason, because she was talking about how she used to be in the service industry or whatever, and, you know, and then immediately she's doing that, and I was like, what the hell?
Man, people put on this show the first 6 months of a relationship and they act like they're not who they are. So when you're in this moment where you're seeing her going off on the bouncer and just yapping at him, giving him the whole Karen. You actually saw an idea of what your future would look like with her.
Exactly, dude. Like, like, you know, at the moment, but yes, it was rapid thoughts, right? But basically that was kind of the theme. Like, I don't know about this or whatever. Yeah. But then, then we walk across the street, we go to the park, and then, what do you call it? I ended up like walking ahead of her because I'm not really sure. There's a bunch of stores, and then literally she's just like, "Where are you going?" Like you're, and then she goes, she's like, I was like, oh, I'm not sure. I've never really been here. I'm just looking at the stores or whatever. And she's like, oh, just it looks like you're walking with like a purpose or something, like you know where you're going or whatever. And I was like, I don't, you know.
Do we have a problem?
So then that was a little weird, and honestly, I was like, what the hell is this, dude? And then we leave, and then I guess she passes like her ex. Her ex is out there, right? And then she's like, oh my gosh, she's like, I knew I was going to see this dude. He's a photographer. He's always out here. And I was like, oh, that sucks or whatever. And I was like, but you know, you're with me. Who cares? And then she starts texting with her girls or whatever. And then she's just like, and she's on her phone just texting. And then like it was for a long time, dude. And I was just like, you know, don't you think or whatever? And then she's like, well, and then basically this is where I was just like, fuck this, dude. Cause like, I was like, cause we were kind of going, I was going back and forth about her texting, you know, and basically I was like, well, don't you like care? Like, or, you know, how do you think I feel about like, you know, just sitting here watching? And she literally goes, she's like, well, I don't really care how you feel. And I was just like, and I literally, dude, this is my in-person ghosting. I was like, okay. And I just literally walked away, dude.
Just walked away.
I was like, fuck this chick, dude. You know, I was like, are you serious? Like, did you really just say that to me? Just like so much disrespect, dude. And again, it was just like, well, this is the tip of the iceberg, you know? And then next thing you know, she's blowing my phone up. Yeah. And I'm like, no.
She's like, where are you?
I went to a freaking taco shop and I had a burrito by myself in peace, dude. So... But
okay,
yeah.
Okay,
and
but
then-
let's talk about this now.
But then what I had to do though, immediate damage control, because here's the deal, dude. There's and who knows, maybe I'm on T now and she's like talking about me or something. But basically, what they can do is like report you
Okay.
on Hinge or whatever. And Hinge really doesn't do any kind of investigation.
Wait, so if you have a bad date, you can report the person on Hinge?
It was just what I've read, right? So basically, immediately unmatch her, like just make sure she can't do that. Because it's just like, to me, and again, I was a little tipsy. I felt very justified in that because it was like so many red flags, and then her just straight saying that to me, or whatever.
And look, when she's that flippant, and a woman starts saying things like that to you, that's like we've been in a relationship for a year.
Yeah,
we're like, there's enough good water under the bridge. I'm gonna let this one slide.
Yeah, it was a little weird, and honestly,
a second date.
It felt like a very like when I was sitting there eating my burrito and just chilling, I felt so relaxed.
So free, And
I was like,
you saved yourself 6 months of what could have been a really shitty relationship.
Yeah, dude.
Man.
So
that's wild. Okay, so
this is the
bring
loofah
this
chick,
back.
dude.
I want to. Oh, this is loofah. Oh, man. Okay, well, I want to talk about how you went about this breakup process as a millennial. What the expectation should have been for the breakup, because you just got up and walked away. You didn't say something final like, this date is over.
No.
I'm done with you. That was disrespectful. You shouldn't have said that. Why did you do what you did? And if you could go back and do it again to end the date, how would you have ended the date?
I just felt very, like, I keep throwing this around, but I just thought it was super disrespectful how she kind of just said that to me. Like, well, I don't really care what you think or whatever. And I was like, okay, well, I don't care how you think. And I just dipped out. I didn't say that, whatever. But in my actions, that's kind of like, and if I can do it over again, whatever. If I was gonna be nice about it, I would,
I just mean, I don't mean for you to do it over again in your mind. I'd say if you were redoing that date, a girl's extremely disrespectful to you on a second date, and you're going to disengage from her, how would you do it with a rational mind today?
Honestly, I would have probably disengaged earlier, right? Because that bar we were at, and I just wasn't feeling it. I should have just went home from there or whatever.
But would you tell her to her face, like, hey, this was a waste of my time? You shouldn't say that to me. That was disrespectful.
If we had ended, like, okay, we just went our separate ways or whatever, like we ended the date like normal or whatever, I would have texted her like, hey, this isn't, my thing, or I'm not really feeling this or whatever.
Okay, but you would text her.
Yeah.
Why not deliver that bad news to your date's face?
Well,
say, I don't want to see you again.
I'm assuming in the texting scenario, it ended normally, not that she just said that. What do you think about that? Like, how would you take that?
I'm curious about the roles and the obligations when a date didn't go well, of whether or not you should say to them, I don't think I'm going to see you again.
Yeah.
Versus getting home and giving the insinuation that I've deeply considered our relationship, and now I'm sending you a very well thought out text message instead that says, I don't want to see you again. Which is better than ghosting. You could just ghost them
this
too.
Date, that was that's an outlier. You know what I mean? As far as like typical, right? Because I've gotten that text, and hey, I really appreciate it. Like, you know what I mean? I had fun with you, whatever. Yeah. And even like there's one chick that, our date, right? I remember we were making out to like Justin Bieber's new album in the back alley of a bar in San Diego, right? So it was a good date, right? But then like we had parted ways, and we were on Instagram together, and we were still kind of talking or whatever. But then it sort of just faded. And then I remember I ran into her at the airport. We were on the same flight, and I remember like we were friendly. We were still friendly or whatever. And then just recently, I guess what I'm saying is like it ended right. We didn't ghost each other, but we stayed friends. But she just got into real estate in San Diego. And then, what do you call it? She's just telling me, she's like, I think you'd be really good at this, whatever. And then next thing you know, she's sending me like the whole step-by-step on how to be a real estate agent.
Oh, gosh.
You know what I mean?
God.
But what I'm saying, though, is like, it's just so random. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's give a valuable takeaway to people who are watching this, because you're experiencing this world. These are Ray's tips and tricks for disengaging from someone over text, doing it in person. What does that look like? When you send that text to somebody,
Yeah.
And you're doing the right thing by not ghosting them. So these are two options to not ghost people.
Mm-hmm.
You send them that text. What should that text say?
It's like, hey, I had a really good time, but to be honest, I'm not really feeling the chemistry as far as us being in a romantic sense. I'm down to be friends if you'd like, which they won't, but sometimes they will. But just be friendly. You know what I mean? And that's it. And then
And what's the normal response to a text like that?
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. I had a good time too. Whatever. And again, that's assuming both parties are mature, right? Because the back it could be. Are you fucking serious? Like, or whatever.
And that's why I texted you instead of saying it to you in person.
Exactly.
Okay?
And it's not because it's just like recruiting, dude. Like you don't want to leave the candidate hanging or whatever.
No, it's true. I think
but you see it in recruiting. There's a lot that just ghost the candidate.
These are Hinge and Tinder tips, but these also work. And you should get back to people.
It is kind of weird how Hinge and Tinder, they are sort of like a lot of the
similar because life is sales.
Yeah.
Life is sales. If you're dating, you're recruiting somebody. It's
the
all
etiquette
the same,
is
right?
what I'm looking for. The etiquette is sort of the same.
That's very true. That covers a text message. Now, is a text message to break up with a second date on Tinder or Hinge better or worse than just doing it in person at the date and saying, this wasn't.
No, like
I will not be seeing you.
It's going to be a text. It's
going to be a text. Okay, well, why is it going to be a text?
Because, well, for me, it's going to be a text, right? Because I'm not really. I don't. Oftentimes, though, like when I'm not feeling it right. I'm pretty sure they're not feeling it either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's. But I'm not going to just.
But two very mature people could, at the end of the date, say, "I didn't have that much fun."
Mm-hmm. I guess it's the same result,
again, but thank you for paying for my dinner.
It'll be the same result either way, so it's like, I'll just save this for a text or whatever. Yeah. Not that I'm thinking too deeply about this or whatever, but basically,
as someone who's not in the game, I think it would be a good point of growth for you on the next time you're on a date with someone. To lean across
I'm about to delete it again.
Lean across the table and say, Bridget, it looks like you enjoyed yourself tonight. Did you enjoy yourself? And she goes, yeah, I did. I'd like to see you again. You go, I would not like to see you again.
Oh, no, man. No.
I would not like to see you again. And I want to be the right, mature person and tell you that in person. I don't want to get home and send you a text that says, I just wanted to let you know right now. So our paths will part here. I get that would be awkward, and I would never do that, by the way. I would never, ever do that. Yeah. Again, I'm not in the game. Very happy to not be in the game because this seems like a whole world I don't understand.
Yeah.
But if you were going to do it in person, what would that look like? Because there's got to be people out there who think, the right way to do this is an interpersonal thing. I'm going to let her know right now.
Well, I think that that's where you run the risk of them, not... Because, remember that time I told you I got catfished?
Yes.
And then I ended up just having a beer with a chick. No, I didn't leave, right? And then...
this is the first one. Okay.
Yeah, so basically I just, I was hanging out with her and shit. And then I remember... I finished my drink or whatever. I had a couple drinks, right? Because she was cool, whatever. But and then I was like, well, I think it's. I was like, I gotta work tomorrow. And I was gonna send her a text after, right?
Yes, yeah.
And then I remember she was just like, "What? Are you serious?" And I was just like, "Yeah, I got things to do tomorrow, blah blah." I think And then I remember her just she got so pissed off, dude, because she wanted me to still hang out and you know what I mean?
But you've been on the date for 2 hours, right? I mean, you weren't feeling it.
Yeah. So then I had to awkwardly wait for I was like, I'm going to go. I'm leaving now. I've already paid. I'm sorry, whatever. And then I was just standing outside of this. It was Smoky Bones in fucking Virginia. Just waiting for in the cold, dude. Because I was like, I'm not going to stay in this establishment with. And she was just sitting there, just and it was just but basically, I guess it was
you can still see her and she can still see you.
I think she caught my vibe that, this was probably going to be it or whatever. Yeah. And, and then the way she reacted was just, I was like, oh shit, whatever. But to me, I'm like, you know what you did.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
She catfished you.
Yeah.
This is the woman that was 40 pounds overweight and you still paid for the date. You still went on the date. I think you did the right thing with that. If you weren't worried about her reaction, and you weren't worried about being an asshole, and just for a day, you could just say exactly what you said, what you wanted to say, with no repercussions, would you accuse her of catfishing you right there in the moment? and let her know why the date is ending right now.
With
why
all
she's never gonna
those
see you again. Those stipulations.
Yeah, all
on
those
there?
stipulations.
Yes,
I mean, I guess I would then.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't care and all that stuff, whatever.
You pull her aside like, why do you think we're never going to see each other again?
Yeah.
Let me tell you exactly why. This is a point of growth for you. It's like all of a sudden you're her manager now, coaching her how to improve her dating game.
Yeah.
You need to update your profile pic because you catfished me.
Yeah.
That was your first mistake.
And you did that.
That's right. You did.
Come on.
You know you did. Look at these things side by side.
Yeah, dude.
But I do think it's probably unrealistic for people to expect that to be an in-person conversation. And frankly, if you're the one who's being told they don't want to see you again, you probably don't want that to be in person either. I mean, that would not make you feel very good.
Yeah.
But you're saying that when you're going to break up with somebody after a couple of dates on Tinder or Hinge, you're saying you should at least send a text.
Yeah.
Don't ghost the person.
Yeah.
Because you have three options. Do it in person, you send a text, or you ghost the person. What percentage of people ghost versus send the text, and no one's doing it in person? So we are down to two options now.
I think
who ghosts, who sends a text?
I think it's the majority right now.
The majority are sending
a
text? Oh, they're ghosters.
Yeah. So, but again, it's like I'm 40, right? And it's a maturity thing, I think. And again, I think you have to experience it or whatever to kind of have that empathy towards the ghostie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it's like I don't want to like be a dick like that to somebody or whatever. But yeah, but as far as like I was telling you about how I got ghosted, just recently. Yeah. Which is just out of nowhere. Because I was.
How long have you known this girl?
Well, we matched, right, and then we took the conversation to Instagram, right?
Okay.
Which is like it's one of those things, dude. It's like
explain it to me as a married man. What does that mean?
That's the progression, right? And then if you get the number or whatever, like if you're taking it off the platform, right, the ATS, whatever, basically that's you're moving forward, right?
Okay.
And so yeah, we were chatting with each other for. It was like almost like 3 weeks, dude. Which like that right there too is like, bro, don't get stuck in this endless texting, and you know what I mean? Because like I told you before in the first dating episode, it's like I'm usually trying to get to that date so you can actually like hear my voice and know my personality, and then we can figure out if we vibe or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard over just text or whatever. All I knew was that she was really hot. She was my age. She was 41. You know what I mean? And she had a kid too, which I kind of was just like whatever. Like I've experienced that, whatever. And basically we were supposed to meet and I saw all the signs, dude. Like because we were supposed to meet one time, and then basically she kind of canceled last minute. It was supposed to be for like a coffee date or something like that. And then I was like, oh, that's fine. Whatever. We can meet like next week or something. And then we had this whole plan to meet at this restaurant. It was a Sunday or whatever. And then next thing you know, I get the message, and I already knew what I was going to say. but on her story though, she was going through some shit with her kid. Right.
Okay.
So I was like, no, she's like, I'm a little overwhelmed with emotions right now. Blah, blah. I don't think I can be who I want to be on the date with. So I was like, no, that's totally fine. I was like, go be with your emotions, and then let me know. And then so that was another week of texting, right? Or messaging on Instagram, right? And we're just liking each other's stories, stuff like that, and just having like.
Hopefully she watched a couple podcast episodes.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully at least hopefully you're a viewer now.
If we get a subscription, it was still worth it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But it was funny. Well, no, I'm not even gonna say her name or anything. But basically, what do you call it? So then the conversation goes to, so I was like, hey, so when do you want to cash that rain check? This was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm free Friday, Saturday.
And how long had it been since she had distanced herself and said she's going through.
No, she wasn't distancing. Like we were still talking at that point.
We're still talking. Okay.
Yeah. It was just a normal.
But she turned down a date because she wasn't in a good
spot.
Yeah. But how long between now and?
It was that Sunday to yesterday.
Okay, so 5 days.
Yeah, exactly.
3-4 days.
So then I just asked her. I was like, hey, what you want to cash that rain check in? I was like, I'm free Friday, Saturday. And then she goes, she says to me, she's like, well, how about are you open to getting a coffee or tea maybe like tonight or whatever? And I was like, hell yeah, I'm down. or whatever. And then I suggested a venue. I was like, because I was like, what tea or coffee place is open late? And I don't know. You ever heard of Cafe and Landwehr or whatever?
No, I haven't.
Well, it's this spot. I went to it one time or whatever, and I was like, hey, I was like, you ever heard of Cafe Landwehr? Or and then I said, or do you have like a spot in mind or whatever? And then I see her. She's seen it. 4 hours goes by. And usually we're kind of like quick.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, whatever. And then next thing you know, I go back, I open my phone again for whatever. And then I look at my messages and she blocked me, dude. And
Wait,
I was like,
how do you know she blocked you?
Because also just said Instagram user. I couldn't find, you know. Yeah. And I was like, what the hell? And
wait,
then
what happened?
Yeah.
How does it, because so you invite her on a date.
Yeah.
A second date, third date. You've seen her a couple times.
I haven't seen her yet, man.
Okay, you haven't seen her yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys have been talking on Instagram for basically a month.
Yeah, like
you invite her on a date.
Dude. Yeah.
She declines the date and says, let's do it later. You invite her on a second date a few days later, and she offers and says, let's go to this tea or coffee place.
Yeah.
And then
she says
you ask her which one, and she doesn't respond ever
Yeah,
again.
and then that's it.
And then she
boom.
blocks you on Instagram.
Yeah, got off the face of the earth, dude.
What possibly could have happened?
No, but again, it's like, you know, someone not experienced in this, right? Because to me, I'm just like, now I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, you know,
That's
what I mean?
a normal thing.
That's a normal thing, dude.
It's a normal thing on Hinge and Tinder.
But some people, right, and not just girls, guys or whatever, you know, they're just looking for some kind of validation or, you know, because, you know, I'm giving her compliments and stuff like that. Like, you know.
Is it possible that she just had someone else that she matched with that she decided to go on a date with and she's just trying to do the right thing?
Very good looking, right? And so I knew she had options.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing too. It's like you got to know, like, because like my thing is this. It's like my old mindset was back in the day, right? When dating, it was all like, okay. And when I first started, it was still in that mindset. Like, okay, you vibe with somebody and then you kind of build from there. But now it's sort of just like, you know,
on to the next one.
I feel like, you know, when she sent that, she was in an emotional kind of state of like, yeah, let's meet tonight or whatever. And then all of a sudden, whatever changed in her head, they got real. Because that's another thing too. There's this thing called there's attachment styles. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No, I haven't.
So basically, there is I think there's like 4, but like the main ones, right? Is you have anxious attachment.
Wait. This is the psychology of modern dating we're about to dig into here.
Exactly.
Okay, I want to get my mind ready for this. You're about to lay down for me the 4 attachment styles of modern dating.
When I read about this, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And
what's the source of this? Is this like psychology?
Yeah.
Is this okay? So you're telling me that there's 4 attachment styles in modern dating.
Yeah, but the main ones, right, is like you have your anxious attachment style.
Okay.
Right. And that's the person, and it's not just dating, it's just relationships in general.
Okay.
But that's the person that constantly needs validation, right? Or not, but you know, they have an anxious kind of, and I to me, I feel like I have a little bit of that in me, right? Where if you know, I'm not hearing any sort of like feedback, I sort of like, what's going on?
I think you're doing a great job on today's podcast.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that.
Okay, great.
Okay. So that calms the anxiousness, then we're all good. Okay, so anxious is number 1. Okay, what's number 2?
Anxious, right? Anxious attachment. And then you have the avoidant. And these are the ones that, you know, when I look back, right? Like the chick that just broke my heart, avoidant or whatever. Because those are the ones that basically when they whatever happened to them in their life, whatever, they value their independence, right? Which is not a bad thing, right? And none of these are really bad, right? But basically, this is how they operate, right? And it's just not healthy, because they're the ones that basically, like, if something becomes real or whatever, or you know, it just gets too real for them or something like that, then they're just gonna cut ties, and they feel like, you know, that's because they can't deal with it, right? They like when that breakup I went through, where literally it was me just saying, hey, and I never really made any kind of requests before, right? But it was basically just me like saying, hey, you know, I'd appreciate if we talked a little bit more during the day instead of just, you know, I only talk to you because it was long distance, right? And it was just like, I only hear from you whenever you're like sitting in traffic, you know. It'd be cool, like, and I was like, you know, it's not even like I need like a long conversations or anything, but just like a text, you know, saying hi or something like that.
Yeah,
and that was it. And me thinking I'm kind of just building and developing our relationship a little bit more, right? That was her trigger. Like, no, and she even said that. She's like, I don't know. Like, and I was like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? Like, And it was basically like, I don't know if I can do this, and like I don't know if I can. And literally, it was like a couple weeks before that she had told me she loved me. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden it was that, and then she ghosted me. You know what I mean?
Right after that.
Yeah. And then
so that's the avoidant.
Yeah.
Attachment style.
Exactly.
Right,
and it's how
do you know someone's avoidant before you start dating them?
You can see the signs, dude.
What are the signs of the avoidant?
The last minute cancellations, which again, I saw the signs, dude. Last minute cancellations, things like that. Just very, you can just tell, like, but it because like, and then there's secure, that's the third one I was gonna tell you.
All right, so number 3 attachment style is secure.
Secure is just like you can kind of just go with the flow, and you're good with whatever, and that's what I try to channel the most now. Is try to be like that. Whatever. Don't take, like getting ghosted. Don't, because an avoidant getting ghosted is like, it fucking kills them,
Yeah.
An avoidant that's with a anxious attachment style, that's like the worst.
Okay, so if you're a secure attachment style, you can handle these ups and downs of the dating game today, and just kind of like, hey, I'm confident in who I am. Pretty much.
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, but like, where was I going with that? So
we have the anxious, number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2 attachment style is avoidant.
Yeah.
Number 3 attachment style is secure. What's the 4th one?
Well, there's so basically there's things that branch off to that. Like there's, which I'm not super versed in this, right? But basically it's the fearful avoidant, and then there's another one that branches off of that one or whatever. So maybe I think that is the 4 or whatever, but we can Google it. But but yeah, but really too, like sometimes I think I'm like, that's just, because sometimes I can be avoidant, sometimes I can be fucking anxious or whatever. Because really it's just like, for me, I just feel it's the person that I'm with, they will bring out this stuff in me. You know what I mean? Because like even that first
a really interesting point.
That first relationship, or the one that where she broke up with me after I said we should communicate more. Right? Prior to that, there was another sign. It was basically like we did kind of have some kind of discussions, because like it's like that. It's like if I'm asking you to act like you love me or like me or whatever, like that's my avoidance side, because I need that validation, like nothing's wrong. Or because if I'm not hearing anything, right, then I'm kind of freaking out in my head, like, is something going on? But all it takes is like, no, like everything's great. I love you or whatever you have to say to, and then it just shuts off or whatever, like that.
Yeah.
Because like, boom.
So
like,
you feel that, but it depends on who you're with. That's interesting to me, because I can think back in my life, different personality traits that came out from me based off who I was dating at the time.
Yeah.
That's probably real for most people.
And I feel like for some reason I attract avoidance, because usually they're obviously now, especially, I feel like society too and the internet is sort of creating like that kind of culture, like where, because it's sort of like when you get into like the dating apps, it's weird, dude. It's like you match with somebody, and then you have to play this game of, this is not important to me, and you want to be it feels like this, like you want to act like you're not really, like you'll get a message and then it's like, well, I don't want to respond too early because it looks like, but really it's like, I'm looking at it right now, I should respond, right?
Yeah,
that's how you would think, right? But it's like, no, because then you respond too early, then it's like, oh, he's thirsty or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just all this stupid shit, dude, that like, that I started learning, you know what I mean? Like,
but you're learning this stuff at scale. That's what I find interesting, because in the old days, back when I was dating in like the 2000s, 2010s, you would get somebody's number and then you would have some of those same thoughts in your mind that you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Where it's like, how fast do I text them? How fast do I text them back? How good is my texting game? But the difference is now, Hinge, Tinder, you're doing this at scale.
Yeah, dude.
Like you're doing this with numbers. In the old days, maybe you'd have like 3 or 4 people you're talking to at the same time before you pick one that you want to end up dating. Now that can be like dozens and dozens of people.
Dude,
you're learning these lessons so much faster.
I'll have like 50 matches, right? And maybe like 10 conversations. And then like 6 of them are just dormant. You know what I mean? So imagine
That's
the
modern
dude.
dating, huh?
Imagine the dude that doesn't get any matches or one match, right? And he's excited,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And then, but then it's you know, unfortunately, it's probably not gonna be
Yeah.
that bullseye, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
It's wild.
yeah.
And as I understand it, that's 80% of men that are dealing with
Yeah, man.
that.
And that's why you see the, you know, which again, it's sort of, I don't know, man. I don't know what the algorithm's trying to do to us, man, as human beings. Dude.
Whatever it
like,
is, it's working. Oh, by the way,
mhm.
My wife would love the opportunity
Mhm.
to set you up with someone.
Oh.
Now, what that means is not that she has somebody in mind right now.
Yeah.
But my wife, as you know,
Mhm.
very strong conservative, good Republican. She goes, well, Republican women are much more attractive than Democrats.
Mhm.
She believes that very strongly, and so does her group. So apparently what they do is they have this group, I think, of conservative women,
Yeah.
and they will post a picture of a guy in there and say, this guy's looking for a conservative woman. Nope, none of that purple hair, blue hair, none of that stuff. Looking for a conservative woman. And then she finds you a match.
Yeah.
So when you're ready,
Oh, she's like a matchmaker.
she's going to play the matchmaker. When
Gotcha.
you're ready
Mhm.
to find a good conservative woman, my wife wants to make it happen for you.
It's weird, dude. Like I'm looking for middle ground, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like because I was in conservative country, dude, in Virginia.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
And there's different layers to
Yeah.
it. Let me ask you this, and I want to know your opinion on this, because there are some people who say that a woman's politics
Mhm.
and religion doesn't really matter.
A
Some people
woman's-
say this. Some people say this. A woman's politics
Mhm.
and religion doesn't really matter. The reason they say that is because they perceive that women are going to slide to wherever their man is
Mhm.
at on the spectrum. So you can have a girl who can lean Democrat or lean Republican,
Yeah.
depending on who she's dating. But once they choose their team,
Mhm.
they're all in on that team, and it never changes. So if a woman chose Donald Trump and MAGA in 2016, nothing he's doing today with Iran or Israel or any of that is going to
Mhm.
bother them at all. They already chose their team.
Yeah.
And in that sense, women are almost extremely loyal, because it's like, well, this is my team. I already chose them and I'm never leaving. What do you think about that?
I think that's not how it's supposed to work.
But do you think
Yeah.
women are loose enough in their values
Mhm.
that they can be swayed by the man that they're
No,
dating
and it's
on religion and politics?
I don't think so. Well, you know, my ex from the my long-term relationship, right? That recently ended. She didn't care about politics at all, right? Which was great.
And when you met her, you were a Democrat.
Yeah. And
then you've become a lot more independent.
yeah.
Leaning towards the
Definitely,
right.
I'm not MAGA is the thing. I'm not like crazy MAGA, but I'm my eyes are open, and I want to say I'm moderate. But now today's liberal woman, it seems like if you say you're moderate, it's either you're liberal or you're on the wrong team to them or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've heard that, like, or you can't even say like if you don't have an opinion, that means you have to have an opinion, and it has to be this opinion. If it's
Oh.
not that opinion, you're wrong.
The whole world today, man. It's like, do you love America?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, racist.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Dude.
you like the flag?
Being
Piece of shit.
being being like pro America or just having it's like being in the closet, dude. You have to like,
yeah.
you know, and then it's one of those things. Is like a lot of the girls I date, whatever, you can tell they're very liberal and very left leaning, right? And basically it's sort of like, okay, when am I going to come out of the closet with this? Like, you know, and it's like, why are they able to be so open and I can't be open with my opinion? You know what I mean? But kind of back to what you're saying, as far as if a woman will kind of follow their man, I think if they're set in their way, whatever, you're not going to sway them, right? But I think that they're not going to, they're like a liberal chick. I would not see a left-leaning liberal chick get with someone that's conservative, which is
Yeah.
kind of weird because I do know a couple like that. And I have no idea how that works because their posts on Instagram are just so different, right?
Yes.
And like,
yeah.
you know, but like,
Somebody has to be very like, I am a conservative, but I
Mhm.
don't really care about politics, to put up with someone who is like posting on Facebook about people dying in Minnesota because the ICE agents are killing them.
Because that's my
right?
thing. It's like at the end of the day, it's like we are not going to change the world. So I can have my opinion, you can have your opinion, right?
Yeah.
And as far as my opinion, right, if you're super left leaning and all that, that's great. Because like I told you, one of the best dates I had was with this chick who was a fucking communist, like straight up. Which we can talk about that,
but you think, does she care? I mean, obviously, if she's communist, she cares.
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
That's what I told her though.
And so, could you have been a decent couple? Is it possible?
I think so. Because we had one. It was one date. It was an amazing date, it's a long story, right? I thought it was like one of the best dates I ever had, right? And but at the end of it, we actually said that, like, because she asked me, because I wasn't because that was the thing too. It was like I wasn't afraid to kind of express my opinion, as far as, because I would joke with her. I was like, no, it's cool. You have an opinion. It's the wrong one, but that's fine. Like, and she was laughing about it and stuff like that. And you know what I mean? But I remember she asked me that. She's like, so like, I'm, my politics is communism, like, and she was very
straight up said it.
Like radical, she's like, what do you feel about that? Whatever. And I told her, I was like, listen, I'm just glad you believe in something. And again, it might be the wrong thing.
But did you mean it when you said it?
Yeah, I did. Because
you could continue with a communist.
Yeah, because at the end,
don't challenge her intellect a little bit when you hear something. Show me one successful communist country.
No, we
don't worry, I'll wait.
We did have a back and forth with that, which I guess China's communist and so is Vietnam, but like, so but they have like hints of capitalism in them.
Sure.
Whatever, so there's like a right mix or whatever, but yeah, so we did have some back and forth with it, but like I said, with her, it wasn't like cognitive dissonance, whatever. If I'm, she was open, and that's how, I feel like politics in general being in your, again, I keep saying this, like, you guys are not going to change it. And that's my thing. It's like, you can believe what you want to believe. If you want to go, just know I'm not going to be out there with the rallies with you. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm going to be at home, cleaning my guns. No,
That's so wild, man. I mean, every time we talk about this topic in general, I realize I'm so out of my element. All I can do is ask questions because I have no value to add to the conversation. But the world that you're going through right now, it's just wildly interesting. I think people like these episodes, so we'll keep doing more of them and talk about what you're dealing with. I do want to end with a quote. I told you this quote a couple of weeks ago, and I think it's an important quote about men and how men change over time. Show me a man in his 20s who's not a liberal, and I'll show you a man with no soul. Show me a man in his 40s who is a liberal, and I'll show you a man who's an idiot.
No brain.
I might have messed it up a little bit. It has no brain. It has no brain.
You can edit that out. But, you
there was a pregnant pause. And that's our episode, baby. Okay? All right.
I did want a disclaimer, though. I am not MAGA. If you see me on the dating apps, don't think...
I'm cutting that out.
I'm just fucking like, it's hard. You can't just be pro-American anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
do you like the American flag? Racist.
Yeah,
Racist.
Dude. Yeah. But...